Hey, so today we're going to talk about the 3 essentials of hand balancing. 1 is the base of support is the primary mechanism of balancing. In the case of handstands, that's the hands. 2, being able to place the center of mass, the majority of the weight, or the center of it, of your weight, of your mass, over the base of support, so that the mechanism of balance has a chance to kick on and do its thing. 3, entering the handstand, right? You gotta have a way to get up there. You gotta have a way to get the center of mass over the base of support. There's many different ways you could do that. You could press to handstand, you could kick up to handstand, you could tuck up to handstand. Regardless of what you're doing, you have to get the center of mass over the base of the support one way or another if you want to balance. So this is going to be a bit more of a conceptual lesson, just talking about these ideas and what's actually pertinent. There's more or less efficient ways to do things like put the center of mass over the base of support. How you enter, there's more or less efficient ways to do that. The way in which it is positioned can be done more or less efficiently. So if I'm gonna hold a handstand and I'm arched and I'm in this position, well, it still works because my center of mass is over my base of support, but it's gonna be a lot more pressure in my wrists, a lot more on my shoulders, and so in some ways it'll be a bit more challenging. It's not inherently wrong, it's just a matter of your goal. If you want a more efficient position so you can work towards harder progressions, it becomes pertinent in to what degree we make the position easy to hold. With that being said, some people have a really hard time, no matter how much mobility work they do, of truly getting in a good overhead position. So their handstand might be always a bit arched, and to some degree that's acceptable. It doesn't have to be a perfect line for the line to be good enough to learn the skills you're trying to learn. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind, because the perfectionism of the line can really slow down your progress, unnecessarily. The other side of it is, if you don't put any investment into improving your line, you're definitely going to hit a lot of plateaus, and you're going to put your wrists, for example, if you're holding the handstand, the shoulders quite forward all the time, at maybe a greater risk of overuse injuries would be a good way to think about it. So here's an example of I was arched. Now I'll show you a different way to put the center of mass over the base of support that is considered and is more efficient. So in that handstand, I'm holding a much straighter line. There's some different things about it. I'm a bit taller because I'm straighter. So being taller and being straighter in your handstand sometimes go hand in hand. Verticality, kind of same thing. Taller, straighter, more vertical, kind of all getting at the same concept there. Assuming my legs are together. Of course, I could hold a handstand that's pretty straight and a straddle. And when I say straight, I'm talking about from my hips down to my wrists, I have a pretty straight line. When I move my legs, it just lowers my center of mass and widens my center of mass, but it doesn't really change the position that my torso's in. So why am I talking about all this stuff? I'm just trying to get into your head what's essential. Did I enter the handstand in a way that puts my base of support over my my base of support under my center of mass, or my center of mass over my base of support? That the center of mass stays positioned over the base of support so that the mechanism of balance can kick on, and that the mechanism of balance is in the base of support, meaning the hands. What do I mean by the mechanism of balance is in the base of support? So sometimes what you'll see is people, well, first, really, balancing is not falling. So there's many ways to save your fall, but they aren't very conducive to staying upside down. So if I go up and everything is, I'm saving my falls, but I'm doing it by constantly counterbalancing in a different part of the body. It's very chaotic and not very efficient. Another way people tend to save their fall before they've taught their hands how to do the balancing is they step. So they go up, they start to fall over, and so they step. Well, that's also not very efficient and isn't going to lead to being able to hold handstands in the same spot and to be able to progress into more and more difficult skills. It does accomplish the goal of staying upside down, and it does stop the fall, but when we're training to balance on our hands, we want to make sure that we're saving the fall by balancing in the hand, meaning correcting the falls from the hand.